coming. It's a pleasure having you. I know we've been interacting via Facebook and Twitter, and it's awesome that we decided to get together for this video chat. I know it's gonna be rocking. Are you ready?
I'm excited.
I'm super excited, reading and interacting with you about all the awesome work that you've been doing in personal development niche for young entrepreneurs. It is remarkable. Tell me how you got started. What was that moment of inspiration?
Well, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. It was about 5 years ago. I was hanging out with a friend, and I was going through a period of time in my life where I wasn't exactly sure what to do with my life. I had just finished my very first semester of college, and I was in Google and I was typing something in, and I was like, wait a second, what did that say? Because in Google, what happens is when we're typing stuff in, it shows other results, other suggestions that we can click on. And I was like, what did that say? So I hit backspace a couple of times and it said, why you should never get a job. And I thought, well, that's pretty interesting. Why would anybody write about that? So I clicked on it, and I was like, what kind of cynical person in this world would tell someone that they should never get a job? I mean, that's just absolutely absurd. So the first link that popped up was a blog by a man named Steve Pavlina. And Steve Pavlina actually created a website called Personal Development for Smart People, and he named it after himself, stevepavlina.com. And his blog was in fact called 10 Reasons Why You Should Never Get a Job. And he talks about a couple things that really resonated with me, such as people who can make a lot of money and show for it actually end up in a lower tax bracket. Or not that they end up in a lower tax bracket, but they can actually save on their taxes by writing things off as business expenses. Another thing that I really liked was the idea of creating residual income for myself, which residual income, as many people know, is a type of income that comes in on a regular basis with little to no effort required to maintain it. And when I was exposed to that idea, where I didn't have to trade my time for money, instead I could create an income for myself where I could go out to eat with a spouse, with a girlfriend, with one of my buddies, whatever it might be, and I could make more money at the restaurant than it cost me to actually be there. Meaning that I could go and spend $100 on a meal, and I could look at my phone, my device, whatever, and I could say, wow, I just made $200. I mean, that is a type of lifestyle that I realized in that moment that people are actually living, and I wanted to create that for myself. I knew right then and there, after reading that particular blog post, I said, I don't know what I want to do with my life. All I know is that I want to be a business owner. That's all I knew, and that's as far as that I could see. So that was what inspired me to want to get started.
Wow. That is an amazing start. And it's amazing, right? That those little things, like that little Google search, transpired all of that. I mean, wow. So little actions and little moments make big things happen. While you were telling me about that person whose blog inspired you, I had various thoughts and various images of superstars who've impressed me and inspired me. One being Frank Kern and a lot of other people like Dave D and even Vince Del Monte from the fitness niche. So I'm curious to know how your journey has been so far and what your plans are for 2016.
So the journey has been quite interesting. There's been a lot of ups and a lot of downs, a lot of confusion, a lot of what the heck am I doing here? When I first got started, after I read that particular blog post, I actually tapped a friend on the shoulder at school the next day or the next couple of days, and I said, let's start a business. And he turned around, he looked me in the eye, and he said, I'm down. That was the beginning of my very first business venture. He agreed to be a part of something. All he said was, I'm down to start a business. And I didn't even tell him an idea or anything like that. It's just I had a really good feeling about this particular person. So what I came up with, I had an idea, and I said, let's start this business. We'll call it, I don't have a name for it yet, but we'll call it Personal Development for Students.
Okay.
And he's like, I love that idea. And Now all we need is a name. I said, perfect. So over the next couple weeks, we ended up coming with the name Project Reinvention, personal development for students. And we signed off all of our blogs with Reinvent Yourself. And so we started to create a brand. We were doing seminars. We were blogging every week, twice a week. So on one day it would be my turn, and then the other day it would be his turn. We would do podcasts. We would create videos. And we just got started. Like, I feel like that's one big thing that I could teach to a lot of young entrepreneurs today is just get started. Find something that you want to do and get started with it. And we don't always have to know what the picture looks like. Let's begin to take action, and eventually it'll come together. And we're going to change some things along the way.
I want to
and
add,
that's what branding is.
like what Steve Jobs said, keep looking settle, and as you go along, you will find a way to connect the dots. The dots will connect, and it's just about going for it. So I love what you're saying.
Right. Yeah, it's so true. Like, I was reading something from Steve Jobs yesterday, and his story is so amazing about how he was able to leave school and continue moving forward with his journey. And he looks back and he said, when I first got started with this, all I did was have faith that it was all going to work out.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it did.
And he was like a person who took action, big action, and continued with like hustle, with focus, even if they chucked him out of his own company. He made it big with Pixar. 1995, that was like the biggest grosser, the movie, the biggest box office movie.
Yeah, big time. I love that movie. So when I moved on to, what happened was with Project Reinvention was it actually lasted for about 3 to 4 months before we decided to fold our cards and go our separate ways. And from there, I actually backpedaled for about 1.5 years or 2 years, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I was so inspired by Steve Pavlina that I really wanted to kind of follow in his footsteps. And I always had a dream of launching my own website that's named after myself. I had a really hard time coming up with the niche. So I wanted to do personal development for students, but then I was like, you know what? I already did that venture, and that's in the past now. Let's move on to something else. And I had a hard time coming up with personal development for blank. And it took me a lot of years of personal development in order to come up with the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to do personal development for young entrepreneurs. And that's what resonated with me. And at the beginning, I wasn't sure. I was unsure. I was scared. I was, this is a really big niche, a big responsibility to take care of. And I said, you know what, just do it. So I did it, and I rolled with it. And now we're still rolling.
Wow.
So for 2016, all I'm going to say is I'm going to keep blogging every week. And there's actually a business venture that I'm working on with my brother. It's called Team Tables. And it is a business in the sports memorabilia industry, which we're really excited about. We had launched it this year. And that really helps me to stay sharp in the area of business, because all I am is I'm an affiliate. I kind of call myself the poster boy of this particular company because I really like it. It's a lot of fun. I love working with sports, with golf and hockey in particular. And again, it's the area of my life that keeps me sharp in the area of business.
It's amazing, right? When we can just have our passion merge with the work, then work is not work, it's fun.
That's right. Well, I believe that if anybody who's watching this right now goes over to YouTube and they could actually type in Project Reinvention, and there might be a few videos that pop up. Okay. Unfortunately, after my business partner at the time and I had separated, he actually took some of the content down and made it his own, made it completely his own, because I said, you know what, I want to make sure that, I wanted him to have the business, so I kind of helped him jumpstart it, and that's all the credit that I'm going to take from it from this point forward. Because it was, I gotta be honest with you, it was really hard at the beginning because, we were friends, and there's a whole thing about not doing business with friends or whatever, and that was my experience. Now, thank God, that we actually ended up finding each other again, and we ended up being acquaintances now. I don't often see him, and I see him sometimes. I say hello to him, whatever. I let him know, happy birthday and whatnot. But there's not that bitter taste in my mouth anymore like there once used to be. So the project Reinvention is actually down. The website is no longer available, but you can go on to YouTube, and there's a little bit of content there. That's about it.
Awesome. So this brings me to my favorite thing that I like asking personal development coaches, and of course it really makes sense here. What are your 3 super tips to young entrepreneurs that they can readily apply and see results, if not instantly, but soon?
Okay, this is an interesting question. I was not prepared to answer anything like this. So I would say 3 things, 3 tips to see results soon. I think every entrepreneur is different. Just like we're kind of like trees. We're all different kinds of trees. Some of us are bamboo trees, some of us are oak trees, and some of us are, whatever. There's all kinds of trees out there in the forest. And some of us are even willow trees, right?
I love the analogy.
Right? The people that kind of bring us down or whatnot. But talking about the people who are focused on investing in themselves, growing in themselves, the first tip I can say is to have faith. And I've already touched about it a little bit earlier, about taking action, moving forward in the direction of faith. I remember one of my favorite quotes is we walk in faith, not in sight. We walk in faith, not in sight. So if we can move forward with our passion, because Steve Jobs said, listen to your heart, because somehow the heart always seems to know what it wants. And that's why I believe it's important to have faith in whatever it is that we do. I was talking about the bamboo tree earlier, that the bamboo tree will take, I think I was reading yesterday, 4 or 5 years in order to see a little bit from the soil up. And then 6 weeks later,
90, right?
Shoots up, yeah.
Shoots up 90 feet, I think. Yeah, I heard first, I think from Tony Robbins or probably Les Brown, and I was like, wow.
The point I'm getting at is to have faith, because we don't always see the results that happen below the surface. And I think that once we make it, once we become that 90-foot tall bamboo tree, people are going to look at us and say, they don't realize what happens underneath the surface. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And I've been there before. I know that there's other people in my life that have been there before that are still going through it. Some of the most successful people that I look up to are the same way. They start off with basically nothing, or they're working, they're grinding, and they're not getting any kind of result. And all I'm here to say is have faith in yourself, in what it is that you're doing. Just keep moving forward, keep following your heart, keep sharing your gift with the world. The second thing that I would say is to take action. Because if we have faith, that's one thing. Can we act in faith? And that's another. And I don't know what kind of result it is that whoever is watching this might be looking for. If we take action, we'll look back and we'll say, wow, I conquered fear. And that's another thing that I think that a lot of people overlook is the ability to conquer their own fear. There's an exercise that I've done at a seminar before where there's fear on this side and there is freedom or success on this side. And what happens is people will start over here and they will break through whatever it is that they're breaking through, and they'll look back and they'll say, oh, that was no big deal. And sure, they may look back and say, what was I so afraid of? But that's not the point. The point is, you broke through a fear. That is amazing. Let's celebrate that. So, number one, have faith. Number two,
Action.
take action, and number 3 is to celebrate.
Right.
Celebrate victory. What do we do when we score a goal in soccer, in hockey, in football? We celebrate. We celebrate with the team that helped us get to where we are. We celebrate. We live for those moments. And we succeed at something, and people say they don't recognize the little successes that they have. So celebrate that, because I believe, and this is only from my experience, that whenever I celebrate, I feel like the abundance continues to come in whatever form that it may manifest itself in, and it'll multiply.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Really appreciate those 3 tips, and I know that I've personally seen them work for me, so I know if people implement them, they are gonna see results. So thanks a lot.
My pleasure. Okay, so there's no real definition for personal development. I mean, the word, the 2 words itself, the phrase itself, kind of says what it is. Personal development, meaning working on ourselves. And when I first got exposed to this idea of personal development, it was back in 2010 or late 2009, something like that. And I saw a video of this guy. His name is Hal Elrod, and he's famous for a concept, a book that he has. It's called The Miracle Morning. And his story is absolutely amazing, because he was actually he was killed in a drunk driver. But he was actually hit by a drunk driver, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. And then he ended up being in a coma. And then 3 weeks later, he woke up and he was told that he was never going to be able to walk again. And so what happened was he was able to walk again. Now, I'm not sure if this was before or after the accident. I never actually found that out. But one day he was running and he was listening to Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
Jim Rohn said, when your level of success seldom exceeds your level of personal development, or your level of personal development seldom exceeds your level of success. I think it was the first one. And he said that in that moment, he basically had an epiphany. And he realized that the reason why he was feeling so depressed, why he was having these thoughts that he was not willing to share with us, why he was feeling so sluggish and whatever, is because he wasn't applying personal development into his life. So he came up with a concept of waking up an hour early. I mean, simple stuff, right? I mean, here I am, here he is coming up with the concept of this. And it's like, no, he made it very simple. Wakes up 1 hour earlier than his regular start time, and he uses that time for reading, for writing, for exercise, for prayer, or connecting with spirituality. And there was one more. I don't remember what it was. And that's when I first got started with personal development. Now, I had a coach, and I kind of redefined personal development for myself, because I think personal development is so personal, right? I mean, people will choose their own path in terms of personal development. They're going to do whatever it is that they want to do. And all I'm here is a messenger. All I'm here is a facilitator of this kind of information. And so personal development to me is spirituality, health, business, money, and relationships. And if I can improve in those 5 areas of my life, if I can grow those 5 areas of my life and be focused on growing those 5 areas of my life, then I know that I'm going to be living an incredible life. Because those are the 5 things that are most important to me. And every week, like I said earlier, I release a new blog post on marcbrajak.com every Thursday. And as long as my topic falls in one of those 5 categories, then I'm in the clear to share the information that I know about it with my audience.
I love that. I love that. In fact, I'm glad I asked that question and you shared more personal insights, which I'm sure will be valuable to viewers. So, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking.
Thanks. And it's amazing, I'm always enamored by these awesome coincidences that just creep into my life, and I'm sure it happens for a reason. So you won't believe, just like 2 hours before speaking with you, I was listening to the audio version of the book, and wow, so this is like really
Morning?
yes.
Wow. Amazing.
Amazing how we're all connected, right, in this universe.
That's right.
Right. So it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Before I go, I would like to ask you if our viewers want to connect with you, what's the best way they would be able to connect with you?
So they can look me up online. You can look me up on YouTube. It's Marc Brajak, M-A-R-C. Last name is Brajak, B-R-A-J-A-K. And in all of my YouTube videos, my contact information is in the description box. So yeah, you can also go to my website, which is marcbrajak.com, and at the very bottom of the page, all of my social links are there. So choose whatever one works best for you, and feel free to get in contact with me.
Brilliant. Once again, thank you so much. And if you would like to add any concluding remarks, please go forth.
Thank you. Anyone who's watching this right now, I want to say God bless you. I love you. You're amazing, and you're beautiful, and you have an amazing, beautiful gift to share with the world. And I believe that our talent is God's gift to us, and us utilizing those talents is our gift back to God. So I encourage you to discover what your gift is if you haven't already, and if you have, keep shining that amazing, beautiful, bright white light of yours. Keep sharing your gift with the world, because you are special and there is nothing wrong with you. You are made imperfectly perfect. You are perfectly imperfect the way that you are. The beautiful thing about you is that you are a conscious human being, and the beautiful thing about conscious human beings is that we have an ability to go to the city, to go to a foster home and help someone in the city who's homeless, who doesn't know where their next meal is coming from. You have the ability to change somebody's life today, and guess what? Nobody has to know. You have the ability to go downtown and put a blanket, a $1 blanket that you got from the dollar store, and put it on a homeless person. You have the ability to go out there and be a big brother or a big sister to someone who doesn't have a big brother or a big sister in their life. You have the ability to change the world, and all it takes is those 3 things that I mentioned earlier: faith, take action, and celebrate. And the very last thing that I want to say is that if we ever meet again, or perhaps we don't, I want to say to live joyfully every single day. God bless you.